Straight on into this. This is map number 1 of a best of 3, and spawning down in the lower right hand position. He plays for Team Acer. He is the blue ZvP, none other than Nerchio. And his opponent up to the top left, the red Protoss playing for Vega Squadron. It is DmC.
Earlier today we saw him drop the pylon on the low ground. Now he's dropping the pylon in his main, so perhaps aware of the fact that Nerchio is not the biggest hatch first player in the world against Protoss, especially not when it's against Protoss players that he may suspect that cannon him. Nerchio, of course, has had to suffer through his fair share of being cannon rushed throughout the days. I will not deny the fact that I have cannon rushed Nerchio multiple times in my past. Has gone successful once upon a time. I was very proud of myself. It was like right before the European Blizzard Invitational in 2011 in Poland. That was Nerchio's first ever offline appearance. He was already getting a lot of hype back then, but it was mostly more because of his ladder performance and some of his online performances. But that was his first big offline tournament ever, and actually didn't go that well for him. I think he lost to Whitera, or maybe he beat Whitera 2-1, but he only won one best of 3 and he lost 2, if I recall that correctly. This is like 3.5 years ago, so I could be wrong, but I know that it wasn't the most successful tournament that he has ever played, but that was his breakout tournament, so I guess it's forgiven.
I'm amazed you can remember anything from 3.5 years ago, if I'm honest. I don't.
For some reason, my Starcraft memory is a lot better than in most other things in life.
I don't think my memory's good for anything. That's why I went into a sprint event in terms of my kayaking, because I only have to remember things for like 50 seconds, and I can just about cope with that, so it's not too bad. But as we look here at this game, nice little early nexus coming down from DmC, who's playing this rather greedy. Nerchio's going to come over, be very, very pleased to see no pylon on the low ground and that he's quite safe for the moment. In terms of Nerchio's strategy, what would you expect to see out of him at the moment, and what do you want to see out of DmC?
I'm not sure. It could definitely be a Muda switch in a certain phase in the game. Nerchio is still very active, but I would be lying if I said I saw a whole lot of his play over the last few months. He's not really the player that goes to all those international events. Nerchio kind of picks his events, you know, the ones where he thinks he has a realistic shot at doing well, that's where he goes. And of course, you know, if it's a small European tournament, he will always be there. But he's not really going to the DreamHack when there are like 28 Koreans signing up. He doesn't really do that. He opened up with 6 Zerglings, and he's actually going to run straight into the main base. The Zealot is almost out, but there should be a small chance for Nerchio to pick off 1 probe, maybe even 2. 2 would be awesome, but 1 is already very acceptable.
He should be able to be irritating for a while as well. He's got the 2 links down in the natural base, so there's a probe there that he can do a little bit of annoyance with. 3 worker kills already, may even get a 4th one here.
Yeah, 1 probe is very low as well. That's working on that extractor, or that mining off that extractor. This is a really solid start for Nerchio, getting 3 probes. That is awesome. With your first 6 Zerglings, that are slow Zerglings, no gas on the map yet. Turret base going down, of course, on the south side. That is an opening that I think Zerg players are very pleased with. That's always what happens when I go Nexus into Gate. You know, the most greedy Protoss opening there is. This is how my openings look, Meadows. Sometimes probe number 4 and 5 go down as well, and with that, I will leave the game.
I haven't played Protoss for years and years, but when I did, my openings were nothing like this, and usually went catastrophic, and suddenly there were speedlings killing everything. And I am not too proud to admit that my skills are not that great, to be honest. But I try and make up for it in other ways. I can paddle fast. That's what I try and always tell myself.
Hey, that's pretty good. Pretty useful skill to have.
Anyway, we've got a Twilight Council coming down at the moment from DmC. So just opening this, fairly standard is everything there. Meanwhile, Nerchio going up into that Rotoron. He's sitting at 2 gases for the moment. I believe those are his first 2 gases, so only just starting that income now. His third hatch is up nicely. 1 link trying to sneak on through. Good little block there by DmC, actually, using that Stalker just to try and deny as much vision as possible. Overlord coming through does just manage to see the fact that there is a Twilight Council. So nice scout from Nerchio. Now knows quite likely what he's dealing with.
Yeah, that's a really important scout, because it could have been a Dark Templar opening as well. Now we do see Blink being chrono boosted out immediately, but you know, that Twilight was very quick. This could actually be the build that Zess has been using a lot recently, or was it CG Enter's Hero? Oh, damn it, I'm confusing them. May actually be. I think it was CG Enter's Hero in that recent tournament where he had a pretty respectable run. It could have been a DreamHack, there's been so many tournaments, and he used this build multiple times. And Hawk was actually talking about this build a little bit on Remax, and Hawk was just like, well, I really like Hero, and Hero is obviously way better than me, but I think that build sucks. That build shouldn't work, and I have no idea why it's working. This is pretty much a mirror image of it, as we see the pylon go down on the right top side as well. It's basically just going to be a lot of Blink Stalkers. I think CGN's Hero versus Xian on this map played out in the exact same way as we're looking at it right now. It will all come down to Nerchio not skipping too many beats and just producing roaches and nothing but roaches. And of course, as soon as speed is ready, you can add a couple of Zerglings as well, because they reinforce quicker. And it feels like he has the pieces in the right place to deal with this build of DmC. Once more, this is kind of the build that I expect of a Protoss player that's not super well known yet, if you understand where I'm going with that.
This debris getting taken down in the back. Nerchio, 30 lings in production. He's also sitting here with 10 roaches at the moment, just splitting them in a position where he is going to be able to get a nice concave if DmC moves up the ramp. Blink, 5 seconds away from completion. Nice little timing being hit here. There's no upgrades on these Stalkers. In DmC goes. Little time warp being used, blinking back, but there is a lot of speedlings coming for those Stalkers now. The roaches hugging straight on up. This is going beautifully for Nerchio, forcing a retreat out of DmC, who frantically tries to warp in a few additional Stalkers, but all while this is ongoing, more roaches reinforcing, more lings reinforcing, and Nerchio is in a very strong position.
Yeah, totally agree with you there, Maddles. I feel he's in a very okay position. He's fighting very far away from his ramp now. He really doesn't have to. That's pretty much the best case scenario for DmC, but I felt it's already good enough. He sniped the pylon that was closest. Second time warp is going down, so this is a tiny bit frustrating, but you know, the new time warps are definitely not as good as the old ones, and overall it just feels like these Stalkers are not breaking through, and that's really what you need with this build. This is a massive commitment, this is a massive investment for DmC. He needs to pretty much straight up win the game here, or at least kill almost everything and then kill a bunch of drones and then transition. Again, Nerchio is going a little too far off creep. The blinks are pretty good, we're gonna have to give our Russian player that. Snipes a queen there as well, but I still feel that Nerchio is in an okay-ish position.
The thing with Nerchio is he keeps extending out quite a long way, which is actually giving DmC the opportunity to stay in this fight. His blinking is doing a really nice job. He's keeping these Stalkers up as long as possible, maximizing their efficiency. And the roach count is not as healthy as it was. The ling count is also completely tumbled. Stalkers are now outnumbering roaches 19 to 9.
Yeah, there are like 9 or more roaches or so in production. If all of those roaches are here, then Nerchio would be fine, but is DmC slowly but steady making this work? Of course, he lost the mothership core, so he doesn't have high ground vision anymore, so it's really important that he somehow keeps control of it, and he pushes Nerchio back for now, so he will once more have high ground vision. And actually, he might just win the game here, which is really not what I expected. It didn't look like it was going to unfold like that at first, but DmC with pretty much the same build as Hero used. Like, I think that was very unnecessary for Nerchio. Everything was going his way, it all looked okay, but I completely agree with you that he overextended on the low ground, fighting off creep, fighting very far away from his reinforcements, fighting very far away from creep, allowed DmC to make his Blink Stalker micro shine even more than it already was, and just like that, he wins game number 1.